All right, recording.
Got
All
it.
right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today for what is a business plan presented by Montana Child Care Business Connect. This series of tiny trainings, this one's part 2 of 7, presented to you by our program, Montana Child Care Business Connect, a program of 0 to 5 Montana, and supported by the Department of Public Health and Human Services and the Small Business Development Centers across the state of Montana, hosted at the Department of Commerce. Let's give you a little bit of a background on how we've got to this point in step number 2, and really our first content for the Tiny Training Series. This is the second of 7 30-minute webinars, the second and fourth Thursdays of every month during nap time. We did that on purpose. Attendance for all of you who are seeking ECP credits, attendance at 4 of these trainings will equal 2 hours. And again, for those of you who have joined us since the top of the hour, since 1:30, please add your full name into the chat so we can make sure you get your credit. Our goal of this training is to define the basic concepts of business. We're going to feature some of our partners as well and prepare you for kind of the second step of the Tiny Training Series in the spring of this year. Last week, we talked a little bit about our new program. Today, we're going to talk about business plans, and the professional development schedule that we've got so far includes, again, 5 more tiny trainings, and we've just tentatively scheduled some longer form content as well: precision pricing, policies and practices, and board governance. Before we get into the content, let's introduce you again to 0 to 5 Montana, our program, and then I'll introduce you to me a little bit. 0 to 5 Montana was founded in 2018. Our promise is to stabilize, innovate, and build the early education childhood system in Montana. We expanded in 2022 with unprecedented investment in the childcare industry through the Department of Health and Human Services with ARPA funding. That program that triggered our expansion is Montana Child Care Business Connect. We're focusing on supporting communities and entrepreneurs with business elements, starting, owning, operating childcare programs around the state. We've got 5 arms to our program: training, technical assistance, some mentorship, which will be launching later this year, community capacity building, which will also be launching later this year, and a web resource hub, which we hope to have live in March. Our team is staffed by our program director, Rhonda. She's on the call today. Myself, Haida Borganova, who's also on our call today, Alex Dubois, and then we'll also be adding a community navigator and a program assistant here shortly. A little bit about myself. My name is Jason Nitschke. My title here is Senior Child Care Business Advisor, and my 9-year-old daughter has informed me that my my elevator pitch is far too close to that of Walt Disney, helping entrepreneurs turn visions into reality. My daughter said, "Daddy, that's what Walt Disney said, turning dreams into reality." And I said, well, a little bit different. Academically, I have a master's degree in communication, undergraduate degrees in journalism and political science. I've spent the last 8 years of my life assisting entrepreneurs in the economic development world. I've also owned and operated 2 businesses in my life, come from a family of entrepreneurs. My family in Butte owned and operated a salon for 40 years. My dad's parents owned a plumbing, HVAC, and appliance store here in the Great Falls area, which is where I'm based. I am a certified business advisor, a certified facilitator on a lot of these various types of topics. I'm also an accredited consultant. I've been recognized over the years for my accomplishments by my peers for coaching, counseling, and advising entrepreneurs. And I've also won a handful of awards during my previous life as a journalist. All right, enough of that. Let's start to talk about why we're here today, why you guys have all joined us to talk about this kind of umbrella topic of business plans. Our goals are going to discuss how business plans are used. We're going to identify the components of a plan. We're going to identify them, then define them. And then we're going to explore the various ways that you can create and document your plan. But first, let's share with you some data. According to the U.S. Small Business Administration, which is the federal agency that oversees a lot of funding and technical assistance programs throughout the United States for business owners of all kinds, unless you're too big, therefore small. Roughly 7 out of every 10 businesses that get started last 2 years. Roughly half of all businesses open and close within a 5-year period. And 70% of businesses that open fail for some reason or other within a 10-year period. Some data according now to the National Women's Business Council, women-owned firms grow faster than male-owned firms. It's an interesting data point. I bring these up in part because the vast majority, in my experience, of childcare industry businesses are owned and operated by women. 8.8 of jobs lost during the pandemic are in the top 10 women-owned industries, which includes the childcare industry. Women are more likely to make value-based business investments. So many of you do the business of childcare because you love kids, you love families. On the other side of that coin, however, women are also less likely to do really good, thorough due diligence on startups. That's according to the National Women's Business Council annual report that came out at the end of the year. One more data point for you. On the topic of planning, businesses that do planning in a formal way, statistically, are 33% more likely to grow. They're 40% less likely to fail. And of those, 50% failed businesses over a 5-year period, there are a million ways to fail, but a lot of it has to do with cash flow problems. 60% of businesses, small businesses that fail, are profitable. So that indicates that there are a lot of ways to go out. And 129% that plan and plan well start stronger. Okay, let's get into the content now on how plans are used. Let's just be reminded that plans are living documents. There is a cycle to this. There's the planning stage, the running stage, the reviewing stage, and the revising stage. These things, this activity is a living document. There are also storage devices. They're task lists of goals and accomplishments and how to achieve those things. And they're communication tools. Some more detail here. If you can think of your business plan like your diaper bag, how easy is it to find a wet wipe when you need one? When you need one, you're more likely to find one if you're organized, right? So these storage devices hold various documents. They hold your thoughts and they hold your decisions based on those thoughts. So within a plan, we can analyze our customers. We can analyze our competition. The more we know about our market and our industry, the better we can use information to make well-informed decisions. When we know that kind of stuff, we can make better promotional decisions. We can strategize our promotional activities better. We can house our policies, procedures, and protocols. We can also create and house budgets, financial statements, and our documentation of our assumptions, and every single attachment that goes along with that. Your insurance statements, the various plans that you need for licensing, for example. Task lists, goals, and achievements. Think of this as your grocery list. And again, these documents should be living. These things can be your to-do lists relevant to your strategy. It can be your list of your goals. It can include timelines for achieving those goals and a documentation of past achievements. Again, think of it like a grocery list. The third thing that plans are used for is to communicate, but to whom? I love the fact that these kids are probably at the prom and they're all staring at their phones. It reminds me of Christmas at my house when my 77-year-old father, my 71-year-old mother, my 42-year-old sister, and my nephew, who's 19, are all staring at their phones, and we're all sitting around each other trying to have some sort of celebration. The point being is these are devices to communicate to someone at some time for some reason. Obviously, you're trying to communicate to yourself. I don't know about you all, but my brain is not the steel trap it used to be as I approach middle age. It's also a potential device for communicating with your staff or potential partners, both in and outside of your company. And without question, if you are going to be approaching a source of capital, whether it's bank, debt, or equity investors, a business plan will be 100% required. Now, what are the basic elements? The three legs of a business plan are market, operations, and financials. Every business, regardless of industry, regardless of size, has to address these three primary elements. Let's go into some detail. The components, what do these terms mean? Well, the market includes two primary elements. First, market research is a documentation of your market. This is the demographic and psychographic information about your target audience, specifically where you are currently operating. It's a documentation of what you know and need to know and should know about your competitive environment, your direct, your indirect, and potential competitors. And then it's also indication of industry and market specific trends. The industry in which you are operating in, childcare, and the market, the physical location and the region in which you're operating. Two types of market research. Secondary market research is content produced by a third party. These example reports here, IBISWorld, SageWorks, these are two examples of secondary market research. I am certain that many of you are out there trying to survey your families, interview your constituents, and gain insight from the people who are closest to you who may or are currently your customers. That's primary market research. Now, once you have that information, we can turn that into a strategic plan of action. We can call that a marketing plan that documents basically your product or service, in this case, your price points, the place in which you're operating, and then your promotional strategies. The marketing plan is a documentation of the marketing assets that you have and own to promote and manage your company's brand, the strategies that you're going to use to promote and manage your brand, the tools in which you're going to get certain messages out to people in the world to promote and manage your brand. And the alignment of the assets, strategies, and tools should be in direct relation to the people you are trying to talk to with the words you're trying to use to inspire them. Part two of the legs of the stool here, the operation. I'm going to talk to you about three things, and we are going to move through these things pretty quickly. Part one here are entity, regulatory, and taxation related issues. How you are organized will have a direct impact on how you report your income and expense, your profitability, and pay taxes. Internal policies should include the way that you choose to run your business. This is the operational policies of your business and how you want it run, related to human resources, performance management, how you pay your people. For example, if you don't tell your staff if you have 24 pay cycles or 26 pay cycles, some of this stuff is very logical and rational. Some of it is just not thought of very well. You can come up with things like your own vaccination requirements. Guess what? The state has background check requirements. There are other things here too as well. For example, does your staff get a break? Can they use their phone? Can they access social media while they're on the clock? Who gets to handle money in your business? That's another policy to create. Now, there's also procedures, things like labor law postings, things like, what about the first report of injury if an employee gets hurt while they are on the job? What do you do about those things? If you have a third-party bookkeeper, when does that bookkeeper submit reports to you? My phone is vibrating. And then having access to your insurance types and limits, that's right there. I have an example that I usually share with people. I had a tree trimming company take a tree down out of my backyard a number of years ago. I asked them for their insurance. They gave me an outdated insurance policy. So having these things, I mean, when I say this is a living document, where do you go, or where does your staff go to find the insurance policy in the declarations page? They should know where that is. So it can be shared and it should be current. Third leg of the stool, the financials. Every decision you make, every idea you have, every action you take has a financial impact in your business. And therefore you should plan accordingly. Statistically speaking, you are more likely to fail because of cash flow problems and a lack of budgeting and management of the company's profitability. To this, there's this topic within the business advisory world. We ask this question: is your company making money or is it moving money? Making money means you're profitable. If you're moving money, maybe you're breaking even, maybe you're not even breaking even. To further define these terms, what are the financial elements of your company? Again, well, every decision you make, every action you take is tracked on a financial statement. Income statements track your revenues and your expenses. That is not to be confused with all cash in and all cash out. Those are different things. A balance sheet is what you owe versus what you own. And the cash flow statement, again, all cash in, all cash out, which is not necessarily represented on an income statement. Let's move on now to how to create a plan. So I have a question for you all, so please be prepared to type in the chat box. There are a number of ways to document a plan. What do you think is the most common storage location for a business plan? I'll give you about 30 seconds. Type it into the chat for me. And I just realized again, guess what? I can't see the chat box because I'm projecting.
I can let you know, Jason.
Read off a couple, just a few.
Everybody seems to be saying computer file, Google Docs, paper file, in a binder, put into a drawer, in a filing cabinet where it gets seen maybe once a year.
Once a year, which means it's not a living document. Perfect, thank you. I would argue, because this is what I hear most, and I have worked with somewhere in the range of 1,000 entrepreneurs over the last 8 to 9 years. Most people come to me saying, I need to do a business plan, and I tell them, okay, where is the plan currently? And they tell me it's in my brain. One of the people on this call, I asked this question and she pointed right to her temple. She tapped right on her head and she said, it's in my brain, which is fine, but you certainly have a more difficult time communicating that. So if we're going to create a plan and document a plan in a formalized way, let's ask ourselves the question, what's the intent? Who's our audience? By knowing our audience, we can determine what that audience wants to see and how they want to see it. That will then inform which tool we use to document the plan. Let's talk about this in a little bit more detail. 2 different basic types of business plans, 2 types. There's your traditional plan and your non-traditional plan. Well, what the heck does that mean? Well, your traditional plan is going to be really sources of capital will want to see this. So again, some of you have walked into the bank and said, hey, I need a line of credit, or I'd like to borrow money to grow and expand. Or I'm in crisis mode and therefore I need a loan to cover working capital. Sources of capital will want to see a traditional business plan. Risk managers, your insurance agent, may want to see it as well. And people who are very rational and logical thinkers may want to see the very traditional narrative, long form business plan. A non-traditional business plan does not have to be a long form narrative Microsoft Word business plan coupled with financial projections on an Excel document. That audience might be you. It might be people who are more action oriented and like to do things by identifying a minimum viable product or service, making a decision, implementing it, reviewing it, and then coming back to the beginning to do it over again. These types of non-traditional business plans, and we're going to go into some examples here quickly, can be used in preparation for a traditional business plan. Samples. How do we document a traditional business plan? Yes, you are correct. Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Google Forms, whatever that may be. There's also alternate tools that we can use that are cloud-based apps. For example, the Live Plan is something that we have here at 0 to 5 in the Montana Child Care Business Connect program. If you are interested in an online cloud-based program for free, ask me how you can get that. Frankly, if you want a Word document or an Excel document, you can find that on our website. I'd be happy to share that with you directly as well. Non-traditional plans, there are a handful of ways out there, and I mentioned Live Plan. Within that platform, there's a one-page non-traditional business planning function of that tool. But the other kind of more commonly known tools are things like the business model canvas. This is lean planning, or the growth wheel. And these, the slides will be presented to you via PDF after this. They'll be posted on our website as well. But the strategizer.com address there can get you to the business model canvas. I'd also be happy to share a PDF version with you as well. The platform growth wheel is a subscription-based tool as well. There's a lot of robust functionality to a program like that. Happy to talk to you about that as well. So that's our content for the day. Let's go over quickly some of the things that we've learned. And I fully recognize that we have fast forwarded through the complexities and the nuance of every single one of these details. And be reminded that this topic is a 4-year degree at many colleges and universities. So what we've been able to accomplish within a 23-minute period only skims the surface. But what I'm trying to do is make this concept practical and relevant to you. Plans are what you want them to be, and they can be what you need them to be. The structure that you create helps to drive decision-making that is more well-informed, so that your business is more profitable and more cash flow positive. Remember that there are 3 basic elements that your plan will need to address. And depending on the format or the template that you look at, there may be 8 different sections, there may be 12 different sections. One way or the other, all of it fits into the 3 basic elements, the legs of the stool: market operations and financials. Plans will 100% help you reduce your uncertainty and your risk. The more you know, the more agile you are. We saw that without question in March of 2020, and we all remember what that was like. On my side of the table, I worked with so many businesses in crisis mode that had no ability to be agile. Those are the businesses we found, ironically, didn't have formalized business plans. Businesses that did have formalized business plans were able to act and be more agile because they knew the landscape. They knew what they were trying to accomplish and how to tweak and pivot from that. And perhaps most importantly, for those of us who are busy, I'm guessing that's some of you on the call, plans help you manage time and create focus. As we wrap here, a reminder of some of our upcoming Tiny training series. We're going to talk about increasing profits in 2 weeks. We're then going to talk about the cooperative business model. Cost-informed rate setting is a very topical issue right now. We want to help people set their rates in such a way that you're covering 100% of a business operating cost. We're going to talk about what marketing is and how to set your expectations with your marketing and promotional strategies on March 9th. And we're going to talk about risk management, the very exciting topic of risk management. All of our content will be recorded for these Tiny training series. You can find it on our website. You can also find it on our YouTube page. Please connect with me on our website there, our Child Care Business Connect website. Feel free to email me directly at jason@0to5.org. If you'd like to formally request one-on-one technical assistance, free, one-on-one and customized, feel free to click me there. Or you can go straight to my booking calendar. We'd also invite you to join our newsletter and follow us on social. And a thank you again to our partners, the Department of Public Health and Human Services, our partners statewide through the SBA Resource Partner Network and the Small Business Development Center. And thank you again to our hosts, 0 to 5 Montana. Before you go, we'd ask that you fill in or fill out our survey and let us know how we did. We really do want to customize future offerings based on what you're telling us you need. And if you want one-on-one assistance, I'd be happy to follow up if you wouldn't mind. And now I think we have a little bit of time left, so I'm happy to take any questions. And I can't see, so if somebody could
I'm
manage it.
watching that for you, Jason.
Thank you. And as a reminder, if you didn't type your name into the chat, please do so first and last so that we can make sure that you get your credit.
Well, it doesn't look like there's any questions, Jason.
Well, seeing none, you're off the hook. You can get out of Dodge if you prefer. And like I said, feel free to connect individually. I'll stay on for the next 3. I don't know if anybody can unmute. If you can unmute, feel free to do that now. Rhonda, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask that you could seed for the group?
I don't think so. There was just a couple people interested in live plans. So for those connecting with you, it's the way to go.
Yep, please shoot me an email directly. We can talk about that specifically.
Yeah. And I entered Jason's email and our website where you can schedule with him directly as well. So yeah. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Oh, we've got one question here.
Oh, Steph says that she's already taken the survey. Because we built it like that. Shoot. Good to know.
We may need to follow up. So I do have one question I'm going to read here. How can I make more profit when I want to pay well to my employees and do not want to charge any more than current tuition at the same time? That's ironically going to be part of our content in 2 weeks, the 26th. That is a little bit more of a difficult conversation. We would need to look at your financial status, your cash cushion. If you don't want to charge more and pay more and want to pay more in wages, we got to find savings elsewhere.
Right, and
That is a
there,
very detailed topic right there. We could go into more detail. I would say please reach out to me and we'll go over that in a one-on-one.
yeah, and there's one other kind of comment question that also is pretty in-depth, but I've heard the early child care referred to as a dead market, meaning unsustainable. I don't buy it, but from your perspective. And I would also say that people say that because of the business model. It's a really difficult business model, but that definitely is something that we're trying to turn around with this project too.
Yes, for sure. John, I'll try to address that very briefly because it is a complex topic. You're completely right that in some cases the wrong type of business model or the wrong type of revenue model and the wrong type of cost structure can be unsustainable. 100% correct. I also don't buy it. Some of the people that I know who are doing it correctly are very successful, but there has to be the fine line between sufficient revenue and managing the operation and the costs of the business. But a completely relevant point. Well, we are at 2:01, so I think now would be the time to thank everyone again for joining us. You can find us on social right there, our website as well. and we will be posting this content to our website, I suspect, by the end of the day tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.